Hi, I'm Shilpa.
I'm Sammy.
I'm Niki.
And today we're talking about how to cope with embarrassment. So embarrassment is that really uncomfortable feeling that you have, something that you did that makes you cringe, something that, maybe you're worried about as well.
When I get embarrassed, it manifests in two primary ways. I go bright pink, really pink, and then I get quite sweaty in uncomfortable areas.
Oh, I'm different then, because I just get really hot and I can feel myself going red. You just feel like, well, don't want to be in this situation anymore.
And do you have a reaction to that? Is there something that you do?
I don't acknowledge it, and I just look uncomfortable.
Most embarrassment, not all embarrassment obviously, can be funny if you make it funny.
I'm quite good at owning my embarrassment now. I'll just fall over and stack it, it's fine.
Because often really confident people, they just make a joke out of it and that's their way of coping with it. So what sort of ways can you own your embarrassment?
If you're being embarrassed in a social situation, that's really difficult. Because when you say something stupid, like the other day I went to the gym and said hello to the reception lady and ended up dribbling down myself for no apparent reason, and we both just saw it.
I mean, we've all snot rocketed someone, right? Or spat on someone by accident.
Oh.
You know when you're in conversation and depending on what state you're in, it could be a bit of snot or a bit of spit hits the person you're talking to in the face. And instead of being like, oh no,
do you understand?
I full on was like, I just spat on your face.
This is going on the internet.
And now we're best friends.
And talking about it is great because it kind of dilutes and diffuses the embarrassment and then you're not worried about someone else bringing it up.
I think also a newsflash, everyone feels the same as well. So
We've all been embarrassed.
We've all been there.
So what about when you first started doing your videos? Is that something that you found embarrassing?
It was more scary than embarrassing. If it's something you want to do, you should never feel shameful of that.
That's really good advice, isn't it? So if you feel scared, then you may never have these amazing experiences. What about some of the more serious things that can be a bit embarrassing?
When I was about 14, I had this tiny lump on my bum. So I let it build up for a long time, but I don't know why I did that, because when you get round to saying, look mum, I've got this little lump on my bum, the problem shared.
You sort of ignore things as a kid if you're embarrassed by them because you think they're just going to go away. I was quite overweight as a kid, and even though it's quite a physical thing you see, if anybody ever said anything marginally related to weight, I'd become instantly embarrassed because it's like acknowledging the issue.
And it's really important that we don't live in fear as well because of our embarrassment.
Sometimes people, I think, get a bit embarrassed about putting their problems on someone else, and it's never the case.
And maybe that's what some people are afraid of, the reaction. Maybe they're going to laugh at you, they won't understand. So what about coping with it? When you start feeling, you're blushing?
The best way of coping with something like that is just to self-deprecate and make it funny. If you just leave it, it's going to be awkward.
And it will linger.
Yeah, and it's so easy to laugh off a burp or a fart.
I normally just either take to social media just to sort of, if I tweet it, it's okay.
You out it yourself and you actually talk about it.
Exactly. So, stacked it down the stairs, but it's okay now because I've tweeted.
And you're also saying, sharing it with your friends and them sort of laughing with you. Yeah. But actually, if it's something where maybe your friends are embarrassing you intentionally, it's important that you can actually call that out.
It's okay if you're laughing about it, but if them laughing about it is making you uncomfortable, then that's not okay.
Not cool.
Anything at your expense is not cool.
So what about things like flashbacks, when you look back to something that was really embarrassing and it keeps on playing on your mind?
The art is to tinge it with a bit of positivity. Obviously, regretting and embarrassment are different things. If you stumble over your words when you're talking to a cashier and you say something you probably didn't mean to say, that obviously is awkward in the scenario, but when you look back and you tell friends about it, it's hilarious. Sharing it with someone is the best way of sort of reassessing it and be like, do you know what? Everyone goes through this.
You mentioned tinging a memory with positivity, and actually we can really learn from some of the more awkward, embarrassing things that have happened to us.
You learn a lot. You don't want to put yourself in similar situations, and also you know how to deal with it a bit better as well.
And maybe the reason you were embarrassed about a scenario in the first place is because you perhaps did something not quite right that time, so you've learned from it, and next time you do it, it won't happen again.
It's a good test for who you can trust, actually. Who are your friends? Do they laugh with you? Do they help you through that?
I think the biggest thing to take away from this video is to remember that everyone is human, they go through these experiences.
If you feel like there isn't someone that you can talk to and you're still dwelling over something that's happened, you can always talk to Childline. So now we want to hear from you guys. We want to know, how would you console a friend that had been really embarrassed by something? Thank you so much for coming and joining us. Thank you, Niki and Sammy.
Thank you.
Thank you, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye.